Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. In this video is to bring you a closer look at the GE Security 1076-G recessed magnetic contact for steel doors. Single pole double throw is what this is, in a gray color. So it's a 1076G. That tells us that it is it's gray is what's buried in that part number, but also the fact that this contact is a single pole double throw, which means it'll have 3 wires, which means it'll have a common, it'll have a normally closed and a normally open, so that your common is on one side, and then your normally open and normally closed is here, and the wiring of that will either be normally open, okay, or normally closed, depending on how you're wiring it. And depending on the state of the magnet, whether or not it is brought together or it's separated, will cause that to trigger back and forth between normally open and normally closed. So normally open, normally closed is a fancy way of saying the circuit is open, meaning there's no power that flows through it, or it's closed, meaning that the circuit is continuous and that current can flow through that circuit. I think of a door open. If the door is open, if you have a whole wall of doors, you take your laser pointer and point across all of them. The door that's open will not allow that laser pointer to run all across the wall. You'll lose that laser pointer. It's just a weird way that I remember it. So so basically there are kind of like 2 variables. You're either going to have it separated, or you'll have them brought together. You're either going to choose the normally open leg or the normally closed leg when you're wiring it, or both for that matter. You could certainly have both legs doing something so that the door, when it is open versus closed, might trigger a green light or a red light by wiring both of them, is how you could do that. Or it could just be nothing's happening until the door is open, and then you have a annunciator, a horn, a bell. Some action happens, something like that. Some sort of, electrical auditing that's occurring over the opening by means of it passing through this switch. Okay, so this is a recessed door contact. When you've drilled a hole into the door and frame, your hollow metal door and frame, that's going to fit quite snugly. These little tabs that are here, all you're going to see is this very flush, very thin face. Okay, you're going to have, this is the door portion. Frame portion would normally be this, where your wires are. Easier to get the wires when you're doing new construction rather than through the door for some reason. 1-inch diameter, gray magnetic contact, 1/2-inch gap. They're talking about the amount of distance that this can tolerate being separated. And again, it's a single pole double throw. And a single pole double throw would be considered a Form C. I wanted to be sure that I said that correctly. Common, normally open, normally closed. It has been recently said to me that it looks like a C in that fashion. I suppose it does, with the common being here. You're normally open, you're normally closed, I suppose. That's called the Form C. Would have 3 leads. Again, one normally open, one normally closed. This is called a changeover device. I'm reading from a forum. Because the common contact changes from the normally closed position to the normally open position when the coil is energized and a relay or a magnetic field is nearby in a reed switch. Okay, so it's just depending on the presence. If I had my voltmeter here, which I've loaned to someone and they've not returned it, I would be able to check for continuity. So I could touch my leads to my common and then my normally open, let's say, and I could hear continuity either here and then not here. So that's how you could determine which wire does what, depending on the position of the contact. Or they're brought together or they're separated. So pretty simple stuff. Let's switch now to the screen view and let's take a closer look at the supporting information. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. Here is the item that we are indeed looking at. I have some photographs that we can take a look at here. I'll put the caliper on this at the end of the video just to check the dimensional properties. Your leads, white, red, black. Okay, I've basically read to you all of this. Specifically for use in steel doors commonly found in commercial building applications, the unique housing design features a rugged unibody construction with flexible ribbed sides for quick, secure installation without gluing. And that, of course, would be what they're talking about here. The magnet housing isolates the magnet from the surrounding steel for maximum gap distances, both make and break. Over 7 models include wide gap, single pole, double throw, double pole, double throw, and biased for high security applications. And they say that it's a comprehensive line of door position switches. Unfortunately, the year 2020, and I understand that they've discontinued the GE security, all of their material, making this video just to preserve the information. Let's click on the link below this video here to the manufacturer's page, and that's going to allow us to take a look at the 1076. Page 1 is going to be a duplication of everything that we've gone over, some additional information that I'll leave to you to discover. But in our table, we have a 1076. Okay. The G in the part number is a reference to the finish. So we're doing a 1076 here. And that is picked up over in the far right column where you can have white, dark brown, and gray. So I think M is brown for mahogany. I think N is supposed to be white or neutral, maybe, I'm guessing. I don't know that I use neutral in an electrical product. G for gray. So 1076, it's 1-inch diameter, open or closed, depending on how you wire it. It's a single pole double throw, as we discussed earlier. That's what a Form C looks like. Common, normally open, normally closed. Common, normally open, normally closed, depending on when you are in the non-energized or energized state. Dimensional properties, up to 1/2 inch in steel is your gap distance. It's important to know that, how much distance you can have between them, because if you have an overhead door, and depending on the positioning of where you're installing it versus a hollow metal door where there'd be very, very little gap, you have to make sure that you're going to be compliant with that. They can do you know, a normally open, closed loop type. That's going to be a couple of wires, obviously. You know, different sizes that they have available as well, and these part numbers are what dictate that. So depending on your requirements of what you want the door position switch to do in the opening, you've got lots of choices here. We certainly sell a lot of 1078 series, and we certainly sell a lot of 1076 series. There's no doubt about any of that. Electrical characteristics for the 1076 Form C, you'll see they call it out here as a Form C. 30 volts maximum, AC or DC. Will handle up to a 1/4 amp. Okay, so you could use 22 gauge wire for this. That'd be typical. I would probably run 2 pair of 22 gauge wire when wiring this. So I had an extra wire. Plus running 3 wires would probably, you know, depending on what functionality you're going to use, you might use all 3, and you may use only 2, depending. You know, if you're going to use all 3, you can have a red LED and a green LED. So if you use both legs of the Form C. All right, now there's a link below this video here to the manufacturer's page. When you click on that, you can pull up all of the GE security products we sell. But again, I do understand that they've discontinued the entire line, so by the time you're seeing this, much of this material might be rendered discontinued or replaced with something else. Let's wrap up this video on camera and check those dimensions. Okay, let's check our dimensional properties. They say it's 1 inch. I'm going to go with that being the size that you're going to drill basically in the door frame. When I put my caliper on the body, it comes to, 0.9 inch, 0.94 inch, the diameter of the body. So when you drill, that 1 inch hole, these serrated tangs that are here are going to keep that right in place. The outside dimension, or I should say the outside diameter of the face itself is 1.202. 1.202. Overall length of this, just for the sake of taking it, 1.562. 1.562. The length of the leads is likely about 12 inch or so. I suppose we'll measure that just because. Yeah, about 12 inch is what that looks like. Just because GE Security has, again, discontinued this material, don't worry. There is no void in the marketplace of identical material that we can supply you with. Door position switches are made by lots of people. There is another company who makes a line basically identical to all of this material. So don't fret, reach out to us, and we will build substitute links. If you're looking at this 1076G and it's discontinued, there will be a link in the body mapping it to the new replacement item. Any questions on the 1076G? Single pole, double throw, door position switch, or any other GE Security product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you. Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up. Please subscribe and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.